on this computer. Okay, so hang on, I have to check something. Hang on. I have to make sure that we're on a speaker view so that, okay, active speaker view. All right. Okay, so I am going to turn off my mic and good luck.
Hello and welcome to Staying While Staying Home, Parenting Strategies During This Difficult Time. I'm Marcia Ryan. I work here at Chaddock, and with me today is Brooke.
Hi, and I'm Brook Linenfelser, and I'm the Associate Director of Clinical Services here at Chaddock. You know, we're all dealing with a lot with the COVID-19 and our stay-at-home orders. And some of the things that you might already be experiencing in your home are some temper tantrums, meltdowns, more tears than usual in a typical day, just difficulty maintaining routines and schedules. Everybody's routines and schedules is turned upside down, and we have to find our new routines that work for everybody. You might see people being more hungry. Others, there's a decrease in exercise because we're not leaving for school, we're not leaving for work, and a lot of more people are sleeping more. And that's just the adults. Just think about what the kids are experiencing. So where to start? Things that we're going to cover today is about emotional safety, and we'll explain a little bit more about what emotional safety actually means, common rules in the house, and then just balancing nurture and structure in your home.
So let's talk a little bit about what emotional safety is. Okay, emotional safety is where everybody feels safe and relaxed enough to complete their tasks, do the activity in the moment, share what's going on throughout the day. It's more just a relaxed kind of atmosphere. Kids have a sense of normalcy. They have a sense that their life is in order. They have a sense of belonging. They know what's going to happen. This is not the times that we're living in right now. These children, what we're going through, even the adults, we don't know from minute to minute what's happening. We're anxious. We're hoping things start opening up. We're hoping we can go visit our friends and neighbors. The kids are hoping that. This is not happening, so they don't know what is going on. So we want to help you all within your family create and some emotional safety in a time where nobody's feeling safe. We want your kids to be able to talk with you and share their worries. When they're able to do that, you know that they're feeling emotionally safe. Right now, the whole world is not emotionally safe. And so within the whole world not feeling emotionally safe, we need to create a household where everybody feels like, you know what, it's going to be okay. We can say we're in it together, but you know what, it doesn't always feel like that when you're stuck at home with a lot of kids and you don't know what to do with them. You're anxious, they're anxious. So what we're going to do, we're looking at as a COVID experience. You know, what do these kids see that creates that feeling of emotional unsafety? They go out in the community, they see masks, people with masks. I know we just went to the doctor, my two-year-old grandson, and everybody had masks on. He's never seen that before, and he was terrified. He instantly started screaming. So we need to really be hypersensitive to the kids when we take them out in the community, even teenagers. These masks look scary. People evaluate safety based on what people's faces look like. And now you can't see half their face. And I mean, let's face it. You know, a lot of times we say, you know, scary people are the ones that wear the masks. Well, now everybody's wearing them. So now through their experiences, through what they've learned, now guess what? Everybody's wearing masks. Is everybody scary? And in essence, they kind of are, because we don't know who's got the virus or not. We're going to ask them to increase hand washing. Before, it might be after you go to the bathroom. It might be before dinner. Now, anytime you go anywhere, we're carrying hand sanitizer to wash our hands. We're asking the kids to do it. We're really emphasizing it. No, 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 you got to wash your hands. Come on, before you touch it, wash your hands. Oh, you touch this, wash your hands. We're creating that feeling of unsafety. We need to make it kind of more normal. They might be seen as they're driving around, tents set up for testing. That's, you know, I just drove by. That's kind of scary looking in itself. Why is that going on? They're going to hear the news. You know, here's where you go to get tested. You know, they're talking on the news about how many people are dying. They're going to wonder, are you going to die from this? So that creates some anxiety. This is what's going on in the child's mind. They don't know. They're not able to go out and get that release that they normally would by going out and playing with their friends, going to families' houses. All of this is different. They can't go to their favorite restaurant. They can't go to the play places. They can't go shopping for teenagers that like to release some of that, what is it, shopping therapy, retail therapy. They can't do that now. So all of their known coping skills are gone. And once the store's open, does that mean really that it's still not a scary place? We don't even know at this point in time what that's going to look like. We don't even know if the families are going to feel safe enough to let the children go shopping or go to the play place. So these are all the times that we're living in now. And right now, we're not sure what's going to change. So we have to create a new normal. So how do we create a new normal? We are going to start with making their day predictable in a time that is unpredictable to help them feel safe. We need to make sure that they know what's going to happen throughout the day, what they can do, what time. Things we should do is get them up at the same time, put them to bed at the same time, give them their meals at the same time, do schoolwork at the same time, do activities at the same time. The activities are what's going to change. If we can keep their daily life as predictable as possible, they're going to have that feeling of emotional safety. We're going to create a balance of structure and nurture in the household. For example, we might have, a schedule posted out. Schools live by schedules. In the summer, their schedule. They get up, they're going to do this. They go to the daycare, they go here, they go to baseball practice, they're going to go to the library. So they've always had a schedule. We need to go back to what is going to be our schedule. In addition to that, we need to make sure that we're adding a lot of nurture to go along with this. Now, nurture doesn't always mean a lot of high fives or a lot of hugs and a lot of kisses. It means, big smiles. It means a lot of good jobs and a lot of high fives and a lot of, you know what, I noticed you smiled because you like that. Anything that makes a child feel good. I mean, we like to know as adults when we've done something that somebody likes. So we need to increase that. We do need to increase the touch. If you think about when they're at school, especially for the younger ones, humans are born to connect and touch with other human beings. And now that can't happen. In schools, they're playing tag and, the boys are roughhousing and the girls are hugging and holding hands. And, in elementary school, that's just common practice that you see. They're not allowed to do that anymore. So we as parents need to increase that. We need to be consistent. We need to have clear, consistent rules. What are the expectations? What do you expect in the household? You expect them to pick up after yourself. You expect them to say nice things. So have not a whole list of rules, just very clear rules. We're going to use kind words to each other. We're going to pick up after ourselves. We're going to follow the daily routine. We're going to do family time every day. Those are very specific, clear rules. And that if you follow them, and you hold the kids accountable to that, then life is going to feel safer to them.
And Marcia, just to add to that, right now as parents, all the time as parents, we're exhausted, but especially right now we're exhausted. And so there are times that we've kind of give in on some of the rules just because we're exhausted and we're like, oh, I just don't want to deal with that right now. And on other times that might be able to float. But right now with our world outside of our homes being so uncertain, it's important that in our house that everybody knows what's expected, because right now outside of the world, it's just so unpredictable. So this is the time to really make sure that we're sticking with the clear rules, even when we're exhausted.
Yeah, you make a good point, because if you say, if parent says, okay, we're going to, you can have a snack after you pick up da 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 da, and they're like, well, we want to eat now. It's like, you can eat now, but the rule is you have to pick up after yourself. So pick up your art supplies and then I'll get you snacks. They're going to limit us because, first off, that's what kids do. Second off, are they going to adhere to the rules? And I'm not saying get in a head-to-head power struggle. You can do it gently. You can do it kindly. Just be empathic and say, no, I appreciate, you're ready for your snack, but let's clean up first, so that they know what is expected. So you're exactly right. So as we described, some of the strategies, basic rules. I just explained some of the basic rules. Use kind words, be respectful. That's all I'm saying. When you're stuck in a household and everybody's screaming at each other, nobody's listening. So if you can all agree, and one of the things I really like to emphasize is include the kids in making the rules, because they will make, my experience has been, they've made harder rules for themselves, but make it so that they're involved in setting the rules, and then come up with and compromise, and then adhere to the rules. Praise and appreciate them often. They need to know when they're doing something right, because right now, they're personalizing. I'm the only one that's not getting to go out. I know my friends are out, and this is a hard time for kids, and especially teenagers. So let them know when they're doing something good. Appreciate it. The phrase "catch them doing good" it's got to be. You have to do that over and over during this time, so that they know this is not a punishment towards them. Teenagers are really self-absorbed, and that's where they should be kind of at this age of development. And so giving them some extra attention and extra praise and saying, you know what, I know this is hard, and some empathy. I appreciate you helping your brother with his homework. And a good pat on the back or a high five. Get that, use eye contact with them. They need to know that you're listening to them and they're being heard, and looking at them with loving eyes and saying, you know what, and empathy in your eyes, and saying, you know what, I know this is tough. This is really hard. Especially in the time where everybody right now is using technology. Everybody is at their computers. Everybody's like looking on the phone for the next update on what's happening with the COVID, how many people are been tested positive, and so we're using a lot of our energy, looking at our phones and looking at our computers, when we should be putting that energy at looking at our kids and seeing how special they are, and how loved they are, and how they need to be loved at this point in time. And touch. Again, humans are born to connect with other human beings, and any kind of positive touch you can give them, whether it's a high five, whether it's, a back massage, a random pat on the back, anything that increases that touch at this point in time is going to be really key in helping these kids feel safe.
And just to touch a little bit more on the praise and appreciation, making sure we're very specific on that praise, and not it not just be a good job. It'd be, hey, Johnny, great job picking up your toys the first time I asked you. And like what Marcia said, using eye contact, because then that means they're noticed. They know that they exist and that they are important when we're providing that eye contact and using their name.
Yeah.
So when we talk about the balance of structure and nurture, when we discuss structure, that structure in the home provides safety, it gives organization to the day, and it just provides regulation to our kids. The kids know that the adults are in charge, and when the adults are in charge, there's some reassurance. Even though we know our kids test us and they pretend like they want to be in charge and say, no, I'm not going to do that. When they know that the adult can keep them safe and they're in charge, that's when that reassurance and it's kind of a stress reduction for them when they feel that. Structure provides that creation of order in the house. They know what's coming next. They know what their clear expectations are from the adults. And that structure provides emotional safety for them that Marcia had touched on earlier. When we talk about nurture, it also provides regulation and it gives the child some worthiness. Hey, I'm noticed. They are taking the time to really look at me and pay attention, and I am a part of this family. It provides that secure base that they need. And just like structure, it provides that relaxation to them. It builds that feeling of I'm lovable, I'm important, and then there's security with both of those feelings. So when we talk about structure in the home, we also want to make sure that we are giving our kids warnings on different transitions that's coming up. Whether that be, we're going to do schoolwork for an hour and then we're going to go outside and play for 20 minutes. So before we go outside and play, we want to say 10 minutes prior, hey, in 10 minutes, we're all going outside. And then the same thing when we're outside. Hey, in 5 minutes, we're going inside and we're going to get some lunch. So those warnings of those transitions, it gives them that feeling of security because they know what's coming next and they know what is expected of them, which provides them just regulation in their own emotions.
And just to add to that, Brooke, just know that when you're transitioning to another activity, know there's really key areas within the day that are huge transitions. So the bigger the transition, the longer the warning. So for example, bedtime for kids is a huge transition. So you want to start way early and say, okay, guys, this is like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Bedtime is at 8 o'clock for the little ones, 9 o'clock for the big ones. We've got to do the rest of your school. We want to go outside and play. We've got dinner to make, and your favorite show is on, or you're going to have a family game night, and we still got to get showers in. So you're running through that so we got a lot to get done. So you give them, they know what the schedule is. You're going to give them the schedule an hour before it's shower time. You say, okay, we've got 1 hour. My favorite show is coming on. Our family show is coming on. So do you want to take a shower now, or do you want to take a shower after the first half hour, after the commercial break? So that you're giving them a little bit of choices in their life. So that's a huge transition. Another huge transition is getting a kid off video games. We know that, guess what? We have to work from home. We have to do some things. So electronics may be used more freely. So if you're going to say you have to get off the video games for dinner, give them a half hour, give them an hour warning. You've got 1 hour to play before dinner. You've got a half hour. So those are big transitions. So make sure that the bigger the transition, kind of the longer the warning.
Marcia, you bring up a good point. When we talked about just common rules right now, that it is important to have a certain amount of time that they're going to be on electronics, because otherwise what we know is our kids are just going to dive right into the electronics and just want to stay there all day. And that's when you're going to see them eating more and not exercising. And what we know is exercise is very important, whether it's going outside to jump on the trampoline or going for a bike ride, that we need our kids definitely moving. To add on to the transitions and warnings, I mean, you can also be creative and have it be playful. So it's probably going to be difficult to get them from outside back inside if you're going to be doing schoolwork, anything that they don't actually want to do. So you can say, oh, let's see who can make it to the back door the quickest, or let's see if we can hop to the back door, and just have it be a kind of a playful game, getting them to transition to the next activity that you have for the day.
That's a good idea, yeah. So here's kind of like an example of a schedule that we were talking about. You know, if the kids get, you know, we're up at 6:30, obviously, you know, to go to school, we don't want to have to get up at 6:30. You know, get them up at 8:30. If you're not a morning person, or if you need to prepare for the day, get yourself up a little early. This gives you some time. Get your coffee. I'm a coffee drinker. I've got to have my coffee before I function. You know, get yourself a coffee and just relax a minute. You know, give yourself a break, you know, and then start waking everybody up. Get them up, get some protein in them, get some complex carbohydrates, get them a drink, and start out the day with a low activity. So you're slowly bringing their engines up. A low activity could be, okay, you've got a half hour to color or read before we have to do some schoolwork, or you got 10 minutes to color before you have to do some schoolwork. And I don't know school's important right now and getting schoolwork done, but if you can do it in chunks where they know they've got some fun coming, that would be terrific, because they need to know that if I get this worksheet done, I get to go play outside, or we're going to play bubbles. So you're starting with a low, then you're going to a medium, then you're going to stop a minute, take a breath, get a snack, and then you're going to have them do a high activity. And a high activity is going outside and playing on the swings, riding the bike around, you know, around the block, doing a hoverboard up and down the sidewalk, jump rope, hopscotch, anything that really gets their engine up and going way high. Give them their time frame. You know, we've got it broke down in a half hour. Just, you know, that works for little kids. Bigger kids, you can stretch it out to 45 minutes to an hour, whatever works for your family. This is just an example. But then bring them in, give them a drink, and start them back low again. So you're kind of bringing them up, and then you're bringing them down. You're bringing them up, and you're bringing them down. Let them know they can see the schedule. Let them know what's coming next. If they know that video games come at, say, 1:30 and they still have to do their chore, you know what? They're going to be more apt to do their chore so that they can do an hour of video games. So, you know, following the schedule as closely as you can, and whatever's appropriate for your family. But this is just an example. So when we're talking about low activities, it's very simply, make Play-Doh in the morning as low activity, and in the afternoon, let them play with it. Story time, read books, poetry writing, coloring, playing cards with them. My favorite of all-time favorites, even with the teenagers, they love it, is like Old Maid. Love that one. And it doesn't require anything, and kids love it. Hide and seek, or hide the object and do a hot and cold to find it. Those are low-key activities. It really builds connection. Medium activities, Mother May I, Simon Says, blowing bubbles. I just did some bubble activities with my 15-year-old girls and loved it. They loved popping the bubbles, just looking at the bubbles. You know, creating your own games, creating obstacle courses, creating, like, you know, indoor scavenger hunts. And then the high activities, you can have them do an outdoor scavenger hunt where they can run around the house. Nerf wars, dancing, anything that, you know, jump rope, anything that brings their engine way up high, gets them to release their energy. Now, a misconception is, well, they've got a lot of energy, so I'm going to let them go longer and longer. What happens is you get them too high, and then you can't get them back down. So you really set your time. If they need a few more minutes to finish their game of tag or finish their game of ball game, that's fine. But make sure you set that limit, because you don't want them going over the edge. And throughout the day, do some mindfulness. You know, you can call it whatever we call it. You know, mindfulness is great for the brain. Just during, you know, transitions, whether it's mealtime, okay, before you eat dinner, everybody take a breath. Let's see who can hear what sounds before you come inside. You're taking a breath and listen to see for 1 minute how many sounds you can hear. Or you're sitting at the dinner table and you say, okay, before we eat and before we pray, let's see if you can sit really still without moving anything for 1 minute. Just to get them back regrouped and in the moment, and their mind right back into the family and what's going on.
I think Marcia and I's favorite mindfulness is to get a piece of chocolate and then smell it first, open the wrapper, then smell it, and then eating it, and just have it sitting in your mouth and feel it melt in your mouth, and then recognize the different taste that you experience.
Okay, so if that's more than just yours and mine, Brooke, let me tell you, it's like everybody that we've worked with that, you know, it's like, you got the chocolate? Let's do it, mindful chocolate. So yeah, have some little Hershey's Kisses or some Dove, you know, handy, and do, you know, everybody sit still for chocolate. So yeah, true.
So self-awareness. One thing as parents we need to be aware of is our nonverbal communication. What is our face telling our kids? Is our face telling our kids that we've had it, we're done? Or are we showing those loving eyes that Marcia mentioned earlier? So always being aware of, you know, does our face actually match what we're feeling inside? And our verbal communication, be aware of your tone, volume, and cadence. If you are raising your voice, what kind of message are you sending there? Or if you have a low, soft voice, but you're wanting to implement some rules, that's not a time to use that low, soft voice. It's when we have to have more of a stern voice. And then back to the nonverbal communication, being aware of if it's a forced smile or a real smile, because we have an activity that you can just put your hand over your mouth and then you see if the smile actually reaches your eyes. You can go to the mirror and practice that to see what your kids are actually seeing on your face when you are interacting with them.
And just to kind of add to that, Brooke, because you make a good point, you know, we're saying put your hand over, but now the world is wearing masks, you know, and until this point, most people could read other people's nonverbals. So they're being able to see what people are, you know, if they're smiling and not smiling with that because they don't have a mask. Now everybody's wearing masks. They're not able to gauge their nonverbals as much. Same thing with the adults. You know, these kids know us, I'll be honest with you. These kids know the parents really, really well. Kids know their parents, and they know when they're done, and they know that through the nonverbal. So just being aware of, if you need a minute, you need a minute, and it's okay.
Yeah, and when you talk about the mask and not being able to read somebody's nonverbals, we know when we have our own experiences of not being able to gauge somebody's nonverbals, it kind of gives us that feeling of uncertainty. So when we are out in public, know that your kids are they're walking around with a feeling of uncertainty. So if we could provide them with some extra nurture when we're out in public to let them know that there is some certainty in your relationship with them. Right now, out in public, it is uncertain, but you are their grounding force.
So here's a couple of go-tos that we do here at Chaddock all throughout the day, giving them choices at a time where they're feeling out of control. Nothing is in their control. They can't go to school. They can't see their friends. They can't work. They can't do anything but basically stay home. We need to give them some control. And choices, you can do choices over anything all day long. Choices such as, hey, do you want to set the table? Do you want to set the plates on the table, or do you want to do the silverware? Oh, hey, do you want the green cup or the red cup? Oh, hey, do you want to do your chore now and go outside later? Or do you go outside now and do your chore? So the more you can give them choices in their life, especially right now during time that COVID has taken a lot of our choices and our control away, the more control they're going to feel, and the more you're going to have to, and the less you're going to have to fight for control. the household will be more in control and it'll feel safer. The other thing, say no without saying no. Hey, they're being told no, they can't do a lot. And it's very stifling and it's tough. And so if we can tell them no without using the N letter and the O letter, so it's such as, hey mom, can I go to my friend's house? I really wish you could. I wish I could go to my friend's house, but right now that can't happen. How about we go in the kitchen and bake some cookies? So it's no, he can't, and no, they know they can't, but they're going to try it anyway. You're saying no, so you're setting that limit, you're setting that structure, but you're adding that nurture by providing them an activity that connects the two of you together. Or how about you come in here and we do something together? So anytime you can sideswipe that no and skirt it, hey, can we go outside? Well, I'd like you to go outside, but right now we have to do schoolwork. After you get 1 page of schoolwork, we can go 15 minutes outside. So you're doing a little bit of compromising and saying no without saying no. So try a couple of those, more choices, and doing some sideswipe alternative words instead of no. Maybe that might help you a little bit get through the day.
And also, during this time, we need to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves. Are we making sure we have good nutrition and hydration, sleep? And we need the physical activity just as much as our kids do. And make sure that we're taking care of our physical, emotional, and mental health. And then also, since we aren't able to be around our family and friends like we would like, making sure that we're reaching out either by phone. You could do Zoom calls, FaceTime calls, just something to be able to stay connected to those important relationships that we have in our life.
I do want to add to the basic needs that I forgot to add, Brooke, but you brought it up and it reminded me, is nutrition and hydration. All right. Our mantra is feed and water the children every 2 hours. You will hear us say that. You will read that in our book. Feed and water the children every 2 hours. And part of the self-care plan is you got to feed and water yourself every 2 hours, at least. The younger they are, the more frequent they need food and water. But taking good care of yourself and taking good care of the kids. But that reminded me.
Yeah. So if you want more information in regards to the things that Marcia and I share today for tips and tools of parenting, we recently released a book. It's called Raising the Challenging Child. You can get information either on Chaddock's website, or you can find this book on Amazon as well. And one thing is, you guys have this. You got this down. But if you would like to join us for some live chats, we are having some this week, Thursday, from 5:30 to 6:30. It gives you an opportunity to talk to people from the Chaddock team, specialists in this area of parenting, and ask any type of question that you have in regards to the strategies that we shared here, or other things that you thought of while you participated in this webinar. Feel free to shoot Marcia and I an email if you have questions and you aren't able to make that live chat. We're available to talk through different things that you have going on. Thank you for joining us today on our webinar.
Bye.